All right, so moving on. Today we're basically taking a look at the same idea we've been using, which was regression, lines of best fit. That's what regression means. Okay, but we're going to actually, from here, we're going to just apply it and keep working on applying it to some real world situations. Okay, so nothing too different than what we've been practicing. First thing first is this example right here. You guys have been practicing doing this. We have some data off to the right hand side here. So let's bust our calculator out and plug that data in. So I'll do that while you're doing it as well. All right, so I'm going to press stat first, then I'm going to press edit. Go over to my L1 if you need to, clear your list out. My L1 is going to be 3, then 4, then 5, and 6. My L2 is 9, 9.25, and 9.5, and 9.75. Okay, so make sure you're careful as you plug your data in. Once you've got your data plugged in, what do we click next? We click Stat, go over to Calculate, and we're going to go down to line 4, LinReg, linear regression, to find that line of best fit. Go down to Calculate, and here we are. Here's our line of best fit. So with that in mind, notice that our slope is 0.25. So we're going to have y, I guess I shouldn't use a highlighter, y equals 0.25. If you want to write that as a fraction, you totally can. 0.25x plus our y-intercept, which was 8.25. 8.25. So let's go back and kind of think about the context of what we're saying here. We have some type of widgets that we're making. We have widgets in a package and the length of the package. So if you were Amazon and you were putting different things in packages, you need to think about the number that you could fit in and then how long it have to be. So if I were to interpret this, slope, what would that slope actually mean? Well, if I were to interpret that slope would basically mean is that for every increase in length, so we need an increase of 0.25 inches per widget. So just a bit of practice interpreting slope. How about the y-intercept? Because that's what this is asking here. It says, what is the value of the y-intercept? The y-intercept, well, the value of the y-intercept is simply this guy right here. So that's 8.25. Well, what does that actually mean? That basically means that any box is the minimum size of the box is going to be 8.25 inches. That's going to be my minimum size because that would be with 0 widgets in it. So with 0 widgets, we still have a box of 8.25 inches long. So once again, nothing new, what we've been practicing. So take a second, practice this one real quick. If I were you, I would pause it and go ahead and plug the new data into our calculators. We'd be plugging all of this data right here into L1. We're plugging all of this data into L2, right? And you're just going to find the line of regression that models that data, okay? Nothing fancy, just find that line of regression that would be. What would that be in the form y equals mx plus b? I'll let you go ahead and do that one on your own. All right, moving on. We've got a lot of data again. We have a radio talk show that we're doing a winter coat campaign. So we're trying to get some different coats and deliver those to local homeless shelters. And we have some days in the campaign and the number of coats that we have. So if you look over here at your table, on day 3, we have 1,000 coats have been collected. So once again, we're going to create our data. So we're going to I'm going to clear out my data real quick. I'm going to go second plus and 4. That's going to clear all my lists. All right, let's plug in our data again. So go to stat, edit. Over in L1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then our number of coats would be 860. and 930 and 1,000 and 1,050. Sorry, excuse me, 1,150, 1,200, and last but not least, 1,360, it looks like. Okay. So once again, first thing we're going to do is we're going to find that line of best fit, the line of regression using that data. We're going to, and notice what it says here, we're going to round that to the nearest hundredth. So in class, we've been rounding the nearest tenth. So this time we might want to be careful. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So let's come back to our calculator and let's go. Stat, over to calc, down to line 4, and calculate. All right, so our slope in this case is A, which is 98.857, yada, yada, yada. If we round to the nearest hundredth, that's going to be, look at the 7. The 7 rounds up because it's greater than 5. So that's going to be y equals 98.86x, 98.6x. And then our y-intercept is the b value, so 737.333 repeating. So that's just going to be 0.333. So 737.33. There we go. So now here's the part where we're going to use that equation. We're actually going to use the equation to predict. As soon as you see the word predict, you need to plug this equation, our new equation. This line of best fit needs to go into the y equals on your calculator. You need to put that into the y equals on your calculator. So if we pull up the calculator, let's go to y equals, clear out anything that might already be there, and let's type this in. 98.86x plus 737.33. And now how do we predict what day the campaign will meet its goal? So this is a little bit different. Highlight that word goal. We're trying to meet our goal. Well, let's go back to the original equation, the original question. What was our goal? Our goal was 2,100 coats, or 2,100 coats. Okay, so the goal that we were trying to reach was 2,100. So let's go to our calculator and let's go to the table. So if we're going to go to the table, we go second graph, or aka table. And now we're going to scroll until, when we're looking at those blue values, we're going to scroll until we get to, there it is. If I make this a little bit larger, you'll see that on day 14, we've now reached our goal. A little bit more than our goal, but we reached our goal on day 14. So that would be our answer right there. On day 14, we have reached our goal because we then have 2,114 coats. Okay? We're then going to use the exact same thing to predict how many we'll have on day 12. This part's really easy. Just go to our table, and on day 12, you can see right there, on day 12, we're going to have how many coats? 1923.7. So that would be approximately 1,923 coats. 1,923, or if you round it up, 1,924 coats. Okay, so there you go. There's the first two problems. Keep up the good work, and let's keep moving.